Hello.
Hello, here we go. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad. It's a fine summer solstice today. Thank you very much for joining me in a room with no natural lighting.
I know, right?
See, this is the first time going live, so I can't actually see any any questions in the chat because all my screen's taken up by other stuff. But if you want to respond to that,
You want me on the chat, do you? You want me on the chat?
I
I
guess you
got.
have to. I haven't got enough screens. I need to expand the dungeon and get more the screens on the go.
Steve, you're a ghost. You shouldn't need screens. You should be able to.
Telepathically.
You should be able to see these things. Yeah, I do like your beer as well, Blue Light.
Yeah, got it, man. So, today, summer solstice, the longest day of the year. It's called Letha in the Wiccan calendar. So it's a special day. It's all about the sun's energy. It's all about rebirth. It's all about, moving forward and saying thanks for what we've got. Because it's only going to get worse from here, to be honest. It's going to get darker.
See, all I know of summer solstice is it's to do with witches and shit.
Yeah.
So I've obviously misread the room on that one.
Oh no, it's about Wiccans, witches. Yeah, but that's what they do. So basically, on summer solstice, they go out, they collect the herbs, they collect it, and they give thanks for the sun's energy that grows their herbs, and they can go away and do whatever they need to do. It's also tied to some pagan rituals from, the Stonehenge. That's all built around this calendar of solstices. So you've got Yule and you've got summer solstice.
Have you taken part in any of this stuff yourself?
No, not yet. I would love to go to Stonehenge though, one day.
I was down there for a Glastonbury festival many moons ago, but I did not partake in any of that stuff. Maybe next time.
Okay, I didn't actually know that. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's
right next to it. Oh, no way. That's pretty cool. Apparently, it takes it away from you when there's a road next to the Stonehenge, and you got lorries going past. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the UK all over, isn't it? You can't go anywhere without a road right next to it.
It's like the pyramids as well, isn't it? The pyramids, you've got hotels and stuff like a stone throw away. It's not like in the desert as you'd think it'd be.
Matt Griff 90 says that's how they got the stones there. I mean, it's a fair point. How would they have gotten there without them roads?
That's very true, isn't it? On the trucks.
Yeah.
Bit of a crane. Get it up there.
Well, allegedly, they, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but they moved them from somewhere in Wales, right? So they cut those stones in Wales and then moved them.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is insane if you think about it. Well, there's obviously no mode of transport other than people and, I guess, animals to move that stuff.
Yeah, they did the old logs, right? They had they rolled the stones on logs, and then when the last log rolled out from underneath it, they moved it to the front, and then there's like a conveyor belt of logs. I think I might be making that up, but it sounds good.
we'll take that as canon anyway. That sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds about right now.
Matt's saying it was Newport, apparently.
Newport?
The little town of Newport, yeah, is where they came from.
Right then, so today we're going to talk about Samlesbury Hall. So this place was probably my first experience of an actual paranormal investigation. I guess. It would be, yeah. So how old we were? 16? 15?
I don't know. I guess so. I can't really recall what year it was, but it was many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
I want to say we were in sixth form, so I guess that would put us at 16, 17.
Yeah, and we were doing it for charity. I won't mention what charity it was, because we probably weren't the best investigators at the time.
Definitely not.
But we were there to help out. We helped out at the start, right? My memory's terrible, but we helped out at the start. We're getting stuff organised, and then we could stay for the rest of the investigation. And we got thoroughly involved with it.
Yeah, that we did.
So I guess I'll start with a bit of history on the hall itself. So I've got some notes I've written out here. So you got to bet. So usually on a normal Sensible Steve show, right, it takes about a whole day to record 8 minutes of voiceover, because my voiceover is absolutely terrible. So you can all the curtains pulled back now, and I'm fully exposed myself.
The animation's good though. I'm liking it.
Yeah, is it working?
Yeah, it looks like it's working. Obviously, I'm on a delay here, but
yeah, it's been through. I can't move my head too much neither, because it's tracking the face and all that sort of stuff. So I've got to be careful when I drink my beer. I've got to be careful when I look at my notes. So
it's a shame you can't get her to drink the beer at the same time.
There's ways you can like press buttons on the keyboard and it does animations. I can't remember what they are at the moment, but I could program in the beer levitating to his mouth, I think. But maybe that's for the next one. I wanted to make sure it all worked before I got too fancy. But
for sure.
So
Matt Griffin says, "I forgot Steve wasn't real. The magic has been destroyed."
So, Samlesbury Hall is a Grade 1 listed building from 1325, and over the years it's been an inn and a school, and now it's been saved by local trustees that keep the grounds all up to scratch.
Yeah. I read in the notes here that it was once an inn called the Bradle Arms.
Yeah. And
that place is huge. So that must have been a hell of an inn for people to go to.
So it is huge, but so my understanding when we went there is that the hall as it is now was rebuilt to some extent, right? Because there's a back room that we were in that wasn't there back in the day. And there's a story that we'll go into later on. But I think some of it was rebuilt. Hall was built, destroyed by Robert the Bruce following the Battle of Bannockburn. So it looks like there was some rebuilding there. So maybe it wasn't as big back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce, yeah.
Oh, right. What a weird name. That's like being called, like, I don't know, Paul the John.
Yeah, he's a famous guy, right? He must have heard Robert the Bruce before. He's Scottish.
I've never heard Robert the Bruce. But he's got, like, it's like me calling myself Chris the Foster.
But that's
Lyral 16 says Robert the Bruce is in Braveheart. I know who you mean.
There we
go.
go.
That guy.
Mel Gibson, right?
Mel Gibson. No, he's not Robert the Bruce.
Was he not?
No.
I haven't seen Braveheart in a long time. Fact check. We need a fact checker on hand.
Yeah, Lyral 16's like, nah. It's William Wallace.
William Wallace, that's the puppy, isn't it?
Anyway, we're digressing.
Anyway. So, let's talk. We're here for the ghosts. Let's get on to the ghosts. We've got a white lady. Everywhere's got a white lady, but we've got a white lady here. And she can be seen in the Great Hall, wandering about. So we did a vigil in the Great Hall, didn't we? We had some... It was interesting. I've never seen them used since. So they're kind of like glowing eggs. Remember that? And the medium had the eggs under his head, under his face.
I don't recall that. All I can remember is holding hands with everybody to do the seance. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah. And the Great
okay.
Hall. So the Great Hall. I've actually got some pictures of the Great Hall. So let's see if this works. So can you see this picture of the Great Hall with the balcony?
Oh yeah,
remember the balcony?
I remember that.
Yeah. So we were all sat in there. We were all holding hands, and the medium had this glowing egg underneath him, and it kind of shone light on it under his face. Remember that? And that's kind of.
No, I do not remember that.
No?
I don't remember any glowing egg, but that sounds like something he would have had.
So it's kind of like. Have you ever heard that thing about where you stare into a mirror at your own face, and after a while your face starts to kind of like morph into other things?
Oh, that rings a bell. That rings a bell.
I think it's kind of along those lines. I've never seen it being done before or since. It's quite a new thing to me at the time. But I remember we were sat in this room, and the medium pointed up to that balcony top left. And we did our first no-no, I think, of the night. Might not have been the first, but it was definitely a no-no. Remember? So the guy said there's a spirit up in that balcony. And I don't want to point fingers, But you turn around with your torch. It is a white torch. I shone it right up into the balcony, which is a standard human response for someone saying there's a goblin or some sort of demon in the top left.
For sure. I think, I think I may have broke the circle at that point. If we were still in the seance circle, I think I broke it. I might be wrong on that.
To pick up the torch, that makes sense, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the first thought I thought was like, oh, okay. The guy saying there's a ghost up there. Of course, I'm going to have a look. And I can remember vividly what he said to me as I did it. He said the words, and this is a direct quote. No, don't point that, you'll hurt it. Which was the first I've ever heard of a ghost or an ethereal being being able to get hurt.
Yeah, well, there's two ways to... Well, there's three ways to look at it, I guess. Because you can look at ghosts as an echo or residual energy, and it's more of a kind of an event that's been replayed, or it's a straight up, you've got some sort of demon, or you've got an actual spirit. So I guess it could hurt if it is an actual spirit of a previous life that's waiting to be moving on to the other side. I guess you could, you can react with them and you can ask them to move on. You can interact. So maybe what we should have used and what they didn't give us was a nice torch with a red filter, right? So apparently in the light spectrum, if you go to red, I think green as well, maybe. You wouldn't actually get hurt, apparently.
Oh, okay.
We know for next time, though. So let me try and read out some stuff about the White Lady. So the apparition's been seen by several people and could be related to the story of Dorothy Southworth, who resided in a hall in the 17th century. Dorothy fell in love with a son of neighbouring Protestant family. So they wanted to go and kind of run away and get together. The family weren't having any of it. And apparently some of the other younger family members tried to help them run away. And so Dorothy's brother apparently got stabbed while they were trying to help get the couple out, I think. And some skeletons can be found by the trees.
Oh, see, I read that. Well, read it differently. I thought Dorothy's brother was the stabber, not the stabbee.
Oh, sorry, no, I read that wrong as well.
You've had one too many blue lights, you have.
The problem is, right, I've got my phone's so small compared to everyone else around me. Yeah, sorry.
Again, you're a ghost. You should be picking up this stuff through the ethereal plane.
I typed all this. It's all gone from my memory just because I was having technical issues today, so I was panicking. Let's move on to the second ghost, which is the priest. Let's talk about the priest, because what we can see up in the priest room, which is, I believe, up these steps here. So this is the wood stained floor that's apparently been taken up and relaid, and this blood stain that you can see is it keeps popping up through the varnish, through the treatment, and it's always present. So do you remember seeing that? I
do remember that room. That was it was really tiny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was proper cramped. And I think I remember them saying there was some monks up there, or some monk was up there. Or it might have been several monks, and they were all butchered up there, and the blood went down into the floorboards, and no matter what they could do, they just couldn't get rid of the blood stain. And I think they even, like, I might be wrong on this, they might have replaced the floor, and the blood stain keeps coming back.
Yeah, that's right. So for 400 years, that stain has stubbornly existed in that room, and Henry VIII's soldiers came up there in 1582 and beheaded a priest.
Henry VIII's soldiers? What were they doing there?
I don't have that information, unfortunately.
Right, yeah.
But apparently there is some disconnection between the dates of that attack and Henry VIII actually being in power, so that's actually
So that sounds like a bit of a tall tale.
It does sound a bit of a tall tale. But that is taken. I think that's taken from the official site of the. It's taken from the official site of the hall, but they've also addressed the discrepancy between Henry VIII's time there and the claim.
Yeah.
So when we were up there, it was towards the end of the night, wasn't it? And it's kind of. We've had our seance, we've had our kind of walk around, and everyone was doing their own little thing. And we went up there with the medium, and he got me completely wrong. He said I was a strong swimmer. Actually, he didn't get me completely wrong because he said I need to get out more, pretty much, which isn't far from the truth.
Yeah, but that was the thing that threw me off. Yeah, when he said that you were a strong swimmer and you can't swim. So I can remember you just stood there, just nodding your head politely, like just not ready to call him out on it. I personally don't believe in any psychics or mediums, anything like that. But that's just me. I'm very much based in science fact, I guess. What I can see and touch in front of me. Not that I would if I was there and stuff was like correlating and stuff like that, of course I'd be like amazed by things like that. But for me, there's just no evidence to support anything like that.
Yeah, and I think you can tell sometimes they say such a broad thing based off assumptions from your appearance and, okay, why is this person here tonight? He's obviously spoken to me throughout the night as well, so he's picked up on a few things that I've done and said and interacted with, and he's looked at me as a person, and he's probably pulled a few assumptions together. And I guess I wear glasses, so I must be a nerd. So therefore, I need to get out more. Maybe that was the thought process in that.
Maybe.
The swimming one, God knows whether you got. That's a risky one. If you weren't. If you didn't have that psychic link to read me, that's a risky one to pull out the bag, I think. Or maybe it's assuming everyone can swim. Maybe.
Yeah. Matt Griff Knight, he says he doesn't think it's the glasses. No, it's just your big nerd energy.
I've just realised I've been off that bloody screen for way too long. I've yapping too much rubbish. But anyway, did he read for you? Did he say anything for you?
No, that's because I'm completely cut off from the spirit plane. So of course he couldn't read me.
That's it. Did he try? I can't remember.
No.
Get out of the priest room. Put your torch away. Stop it.
Yeah, I was probably giving him that F off energy. That's why. That's why he didn't come anywhere near me. But yeah, you know what? There's probably people he told stuff in there that evening that was probably right on the money. But mediums, whether you believe them or not, are very good at hitting the nail on the head on some things, aren't they? But it takes them a while to get there.
Oh yeah.
Whether that's through that psychic energy coming through to them, or it takes them a while to profile somebody. That's up to each person, isn't it, to have their own perspective on it?
Yeah, and I think I have trouble with it when it goes beyond just being harmless. I don't like when they start talking to people about family members that have passed on and stuff like that. I don't really. I've got moral issues with that. Even if you believe, there's no. If your boiler broke, you wouldn't go and speak to any old guy to fix your boiler. You'd get someone that was certified to fix your boiler. If you want to talk to your dead relative, which is obviously a sensitive thing, there's no one out here certifying mediums to say that you can actually speak to the guy. So I've got problems with mediums in general if they're out telling people, "Oh, I'm speaking to your your dead family member," because it's a sensitive thing, and if they're making that stuff up, that's not cool. So I got a real problem with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That was, I think, the scariest thing that happened that night was when we were taking photos, and when the flash was going off, some guy was sat in the corner Just, I guess you were sat in the dark waiting for like a ghost to appear. We're taking photos, and like as soon as the flash goes off, it flashes, and all we see is this bloke sat in a chair in the corner, and shit me up big time. So yeah, that was the scariest thing. That was the scariest thing we saw all night.
Was that your camera? Do we still have that photo?
I don't know. I can remember the photo though, and you can see him in the corner all like red-eyed, can't you?
Yeah. Poor guy. He must have knew we were doing it, but he looked so surprised when the flash went off.
Oh my god.
It wasn't the only people who were scared of that night, was it?
No, yeah. I can remember when the best part of the night for me was when we went around with the historian, and he took us around the hall and told us all the bits and bobs, all the different people that got killed there. Like legit, that story that you were saying about that Southworth girl, and her lover and her friends all got murdered by her brother. They actually dug those skeletons up, right? They were found
by the tree outside, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy when you think about it. A lot of these haunted houses and stuff like that don't tend to have a lot of, I guess, dead bodies that are being dug up, but this one does. Like, that was the chapel, when we were taken there by the historian, he told us the story of this guy who had stayed, he'd slept outside of the hall, hadn't he? And there used to be a road that ran by where the chapel was before it was built, and he was sleeping outside there, and he saw some, like, ghost type lights or whatever coming towards him. So me and you decided that we would go into... we'll lie down in the chapel exactly where this guy had been lying down in the road, see if we can see these weird lights that came towards him. And so we just sat there in the pitch black, and obviously our eyes adjust, don't they, after a while?
Yeah. And
a group of people come in, and they do not see us whatsoever, but they're obviously completely aware of the same stories that that we've been told. Do you want to take it from here? What happens next?
So we're lying on the floor in the darkness, and then there's two ladies walk in, and they started talking to the spirits. We've heard this story. Is there anybody there? And you come up with a out the darkness, and these girls scream and run away out the bloody out the chapel. And
so funny.
We probably got another black mark on that one, to be honest.
I say the most haunted things, activities that happened that night were stuff that we were causing and that other people were causing as well.
I've got some footage actually. Speaking of talking about the mediums before, I've got some footage from good old Derek. We're going to run some tape and look at some of the paranormal events that were caught, not from our experiences, but from a TV show. So I'm going to run that now.
Yeah, and everything was taken away from me in the view of the crew, all of us. And suddenly I see a lot of people in this area. They're all sitting round, and they're all drinking ale. And a lot of them were falling over, and a lot of them were shouting and singing.
Sorry, did someone whistle then?
I heard something
coming from that direction over there. Yeah. It seemed to sound like a loud whistle or a scream of some description.
Did you hear it, Kieran?
Can I just have a look in here?
They're all sitting round, and they're all drinking ale, and a lot of them were falling over.
Kieran decided to investigate a squeaky door back in the Great Hall, where it was thought the whistling came from. However, the team were not convinced.
Okay, so that was from footage from Most Haunted back in the day with Kieran O'Keefe. Did you hear the whistle there? I know we're probably in a little bit of a delay, but
I couldn't hear it. No,
no,
no, I couldn't hear it. But
okay.
That might be with everything else going on in the background.
Sorry, did you hear the audio?
I could hear them talking, but I couldn't hear.
You couldn't hear the whistle. The whistle clear as day to me, though. Too clear. No.
And again, it's me. I'm cut off from the spirit playing. I'm just not in tune. I need to get my chakras or something aligned.
That's it, mate. You have to go to the... Oh, yeah, that was clear as day for me. But, the problem with that, you don't know... That sounds like it was in the room, without a doubt. and this was back in the day when they were like, oh, you know, because modern Most Haunted has this disclaimer at the front of it saying, you know, entertainment purposes only. You start watching modern Most Haunted, it's kind of a little bit oof. Or every time they go out, something happens.
Right.
Back in the older stuff, sometimes nothing happens, and I quite like that. And Kieran here tried to explain it with a squeaking door, which didn't sound anything like it, but he tried at least. We've also got
Matt says it was someone's text message tone. You heard it in the replay. Samsung Coco Light message tone. That's really specific. Yeah, I think he's busted the myth here.
Myth busted.
Yeah,
that's it.
You said definitely not Nokia, early Android.
Early Android. I need to check. I don't know when. Let's okay.
Did they even have mobile phones when Most Haunted was being shot?
Let's have. It would be, but let's have a look. So,
I had to take a punt saying it's 2002.
Oh no, that's when it started.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I've got some ghost puns for you while you're doing that.
Go on then.
What happens when a ghost gets lost in the fog?
No idea.
They're missed.
Oh, nice.
Do you want another one?
Oh, yeah.
Where did the ghost mum drop off her baby when she went to work?
No idea.
The day scare centre.
Cool.
It's increasing your chances somewhat.
So season 5. So season 5 was 2004 to 2005. So you weren't actually that far off. 2002.
There we go. I don't reckon they had Android back then though.
No, I don't think they did either. First Android. So Android was released in 2008. There's a hole in the theory, but it could be something else, couldn't it? It could be. We had polyphonic ringtones back then, which I don't think it was. But this next one, I got some more footage here. This definitely isn't from a phone, and we had a second medium.
This is Samlesbury Hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a second medium here, going back into the Great Hall.
Any spirit beings, but the energy is negative. It's sickening.
No, I don't like it. Yeah, it's really spooky.
It is horrible.
Oh God, who made that noise then?
What?
Did you go?
That was the car coming.
No, it wasn't.
No, didn't you go? Did you sigh?
No,
No, oh God, I heard that.
No, I didn't.
I heard that.
What is it about this room which is so scary? I never get scared.
But I heard a. Oh, I did hear that.
The noise wasn't made by any of the crew, and it was David who was to identify a possible source.
This is where the little man lives most of the time.
So I guess you didn't. Did you hear the audio on that?
Did I what? Sorry.
Did you hear the audio on that one?
I did, yeah.
Did you hear the?
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
So you're cut off, mate. You need to sort out your chakra.
Yeah, it's.
You need to loosen that off.
Mm-hmm.
It's unacceptable. What do you think of the guy in the rafters, according to the medium?
Oh right, there was a guy in the rafters. Yeah. Lyral16 said she heard that one. What did it sound like, Lyral?
Yeah.
So what was it? Little man in the rafters. That's pretty scary though.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that in your.
No, you wouldn't want that at all. In fact, you know what? To be fair though, I would want that because if I'd seen that at Samlesbury Hall, I would have been well made up.
Exactly. That's kind of that's your proof there, isn't it? Proof's in the pudding. Mm-hmm. And but how do you
I would look.
Sorry.
I would love to see a ghost. I really would.
How do you think you react to it first off, though?
I'd probably run away initially, but then I would run back because I'd be eager to see it again. You know, it's that instant reaction, isn't it? It's like, what the fuck is that? But then it's like, oh shit, was that a ghost? I need to go see what that's all about. Then by the time you run back, it's not going to be there, is it?
I say every on. it's that fight or flight mechanism. So I've been in like the basement of a haunted house before on my own, and we'd heard noises before that we couldn't probably explain, but there were people upstairs, so there could have been people walking about and stuff like that you can't account for because it's an active house. And it's a weird situation to be in because you're willing for something to happen, but you're also hoping it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's a weird sensation because you know full well, like you say, if something happens, you're going to be sprinting out of that bloody basement as fast as you can. But you've got to think, most haunted have been doing this since 2002, did you say? They must be used to that by now.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. It's a similar vibe to if you watch like a scary film, isn't it? Even in your own house, which is not haunted, you have that kind of eerie sense that someone's watching you, don't you? So it's a similar vibe to that. But God, I would love to see something, or even hear something. I've never had anything happen to me.
Yeah, I've had so back when I was a kid, my granddad left his glasses in my bedroom as a kid, so I went back up to find them, couldn't find them anywhere. And it's back in the day, the old CRT TVs, and I was looking around forever, couldn't find it. Looking top of the TV, wasn't there. Next thing I heard was a ping on the CRT screen, and the glasses hit the floor. So I know for a fact the glasses were on top of the TV, so they couldn't be knocked off and then hit on the way down.
Yeah.
So that kind of freaked me out, and there was no one else there. That's the kind of only thing that I've had happen to me where I've been. That's kind of odd, but there must be
some poltergeist stuff, that, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. And I have a reoccurring dream in my house at the moment where I'm not welcome, and it's not my house, and I need to leave. It's a really weird, like, half dream where I'm kind of half awake, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to pack my stuff and go. And then I wake up and go, oh, actually, that's me being weird, I need to start doing that. So that's, having kind of been caught in between sleep and reality as well. It could also play into the brain playing tricks on you. And
yeah, definitely. Viral16 says, I still hate the pool of darkness at the bottom of the stairs. So does Ben, her partner. Yeah, it's like, I guess I'm not really afraid of the dark, but it's the same kind of thing, isn't it? It's you fear what you don't understand or you can't see.
Yeah, I think long corridors as well, like long down the stairs with that blackness at the end of it.
Well, the scariest thing in Samlesbury Hall is I remember at the end of the night we actually got to go and walk around it on our own when everyone had left, and we walked all the way through up into the gallery, and for some reason they just stored a load of mirrors up there, so the whole room, both sides, was wall-to-wall mirrors, which made it even freakier. And when you're walking through there at 2 a.m. in the morning, it's pitch black. And your own reflections are scaring you.
Yeah.
It
scares me in daylight, mate.
Yeah, it's creepy. But I mean, we went and sat up in that monk's room where all the monks were butchered for I don't know, for 20-30 minutes.
Yeah,
and didn't see anything, which was unfortunate. In fact, yeah, and the scariest part was having to go back through that hall of mirrors. But I was perfectly fine in the monk's room. Didn't feel a thing.
We've got another bit of evidence here. It's a photo.
That's just like some light though, right?
That's a smudge on the lens, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me have a look.
Conveniently placed with that window, but
what's it supposed to be? An orb?
A manifestation of something.
Oh. Yeah,
so there's quite a few photos actually. I saw some. There's a video literally from like 2000, and it's got about 3 pixels in it, and there's supposed to be, because they have weddings in this place and all sorts of stuff. And I think there's a photo of, I haven't shown it because you could hardly see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a few accounts of faces in the windows and popping up behind people and all that sort of stuff. But if it's a wedding, there could be kids about, and they could be playing, and they could be hiding, and they could be poking their face. But this here to me is just a bit of something on the lens.
Yeah, I saw it was a wedding venue. That'd be great if you could have a wedding there and stay the night too, so you could do like a ghost hunt wedding.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's a beautiful place as well, to be fair. It's
So there was a guy called Joseph Harrison, and he killed himself there.
He did. So this was relatively, a couple hundred years ago? Or let me just pull up my notes again. So this guy got into financial troubles, and he was trying to renovate the building.
Mm-hmm.
And he was struggling with money, and it all got too much for him, and he shot himself, unfortunately.
Wow. Perhaps he's the man in the rafters. Have you considered that one?
Maybe.
I'm going to put that out there.
I know the guy. If you're hiding in the rafters trying to scare people, maybe that's what I don't know. If you were a ghost, would you do that?
No, because ghosts don't do stuff like that, right? They just follow the same patterns that they repeat stuff they've done in life, right?
Well, that's your residual energy thing.
That's how I see it. Yeah, they're just there's a repetition to it, isn't it? It's like the Roman soldier ghost stories you hear where their bodies are engulfed in the ground as they're walking along. It's because the floor was lower or something like that.
Yeah, and for me that's probably the most plausible explanation. But if you believe in Ouija boards and all that sort of stuff, you're not going to be able to communicate with a echo.
Yeah.
So if that's the only thing you believe in, then everything else kind of goes out the window. So this knock once, are you there sort of thing, that isn't going to work anymore, because it is just something replaying, looping of a life event that happened hundreds of years ago. I think we've been chatting. I've been waffling. I've been making a mess of my notes.
You've gone all over the shop.
All over the shop. It would be good if I did it in some order, but with freestyling it.
Yeah, you were freestyling. It's fine. I can keep up.
The notes weren't looked at, pretty much. So everything was from memory, and my memory isn't that great.
Let me see. Was there anything else that I needed to ask? Oh yeah, there was one of the Southworth girls was a witch as well, right?
So there is. I was reading this before, actually. Are you talking about the 3 witches of Samlesbury?
Yeah.
That were wrongly convicted.
Mm-hmm.
So the story behind this. So I don't think there was. Yeah, Jane Southworth. Yeah, sorry. So Jeanette Bailey, her aunt Ellen Bailey, and recently widowed Jane Southworth, they were convicted of witchcraft by 14-year-old Grace Sourbutt. Have I said that right? Sourbutt. Is that right? Okay.
Sourbutt.
Sourbutt.
Right. That is.
And we're talking about a period where you'd get killed for that, basically.
Christians burned a lot of people back then for nothing.
But they were saved because basically they questioned Grace Sourbutt, and she basically said, "Yeah, I'm making it all up."
Oh right,
it doesn't. I couldn't find a reason why she made it all up. That's a bit of history that is really shocking. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it's a shame they weren't actual witches, though.
Wait, so you're saying
that would that's what I'm saying
it.
is that would have made obviously not killing them, but that just would have made the whole ghostly story a bit more satanic. Do you want some more ghost puns?
Go on, hit me some ghost puns.
Okay, what did the egotistical ghost say?
I have no idea. What did he say?
If you've got it, haunt it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you... oh, sorry, there's more, sorry. Oh.
Yeah, what's a ghost's favourite type of pie?
No idea.
Blueberry.
Nice.
Okay, and that's all my puns.
That's it. Is there anyone online watching that has any ghost puns that want to share it?
Viral 16 was typing crazily trying to get the answer in Booberry. She also said, orbs are so difficult to prove. Dust and bugs and the likes are constantly catching the light. Yeah, this is why I'm not one for the whole orb thing. Viral 16 says these puns are ghoulish. Yes, they are.
I actually want to try and fake some orbs. Not for I'm going to fake some evidence. As in, I want to try and experiment with falling dust, all sorts of stuff to see how that could show up on infrared cameras as an orb. I think it'd be quite interesting. Just different kind of bits of fluff from about the house, that gets dislodged, especially in these old houses,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think it'd be an interesting little experiment. Maybe I'll do that one day. So I think we're pulling up to 9 o'clock.
Is that the witching hour?
Not quite.
I read a bit about that before, the witching. When is the witching hour?
Do you know the answer? Are you asking? Is it?
I don't know.
I always thought it was 3, but I think it's actually 12, no?
Uh-huh.
I always thought it was 3 for some reason.
3 a.m, okay. I might watch Midsummer tonight to celebrate summer solstice.
Oh yeah, great film. Gets a bit spicy.
Does. It certainly does.
We've got some questions that we've collected over the past week or so. If you've got any questions online, if you drop them in the chat. First question: how does Steve's glasses stay on? So
that is a very good question.
It is a good question. And you can expand that question as well to when you see a ghost, why are they wearing clothes, glasses, etc. And if you talk about residual energy, echoes from the past, that'll make a whole lot of sense. But if we're talking about a spirit they can actually communicate with, how come they've brought some clothes with them? Or is it the last memory of that person, and that's how they remember themselves? I think that's the answer.
So is the too long didn't listen? Is that ghost glasses?
It's how Steve remembers himself as a human.
Oh right, as a white blob.
Yeah, white blob. Yeah. He had bad eyesight, so when he looked in the mirror, all he could see was just blur.
To be fair, a lot of us are just white blobs, aren't we? Me and you certainly. Yeah.
Definitely. Getting blobbier by the day.
Mm-hmm.
How tall is Steve? He's about 3 foot. Maybe he's lost his legs, or maybe he's floating under the ground like the Roman soldiers, and he's actually 5 foot back in the day. What does Steve do in his spare time? Well, if you're new to this is the first time we've done this. So if you're new, I apologise for my poor reading of facts. But usually there's a structured show that has a lot of preparation that goes into it. That I hide all this blabbering away from my viewers. And there's also a stream where we go away and play some horror games. I'm playing a lot of Slender and stuff like that, but we're going to play some more modern horror games. So that's what Steve likes to do in his spare time. There's a few. I think Billy the Bus asked a lot of these. So which country is most haunted? I think if you look at all the ghost stories, there's a lot from America, but I don't think there's an official list of every single ghost story. So
maybe you can start compiling that. You need to get yourself an Excel spreadsheet on the ghost, Steve. You can get the formulas going.
Yeah, I could do. Get some graphs, a nice little pie chart maybe. But what quantifies is you've got ghost stories, you've got demon stories, you've got witch stories, all this sort of stuff. There's many layers to it. It's a big one.
Lyral16 says we're just the best at producing loads and loads of ghost hunting shows. We get the word out better. That's why there's more American ghost stuff.
Remember Strange But True? That was a good ghost show that the UK had.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day, but that was more just like they'd recreate it, wouldn't they, with actors and stuff like that.
Yeah, they recreate it. That's true. Yeah, but it's still recounting, because that leads on to my next question about Plasteg, which is one of the local haunted houses where we used to reside, and that I remember that being on Strange But True, because with that place, the question was asked about a man with no head across the road. I'm not sure if it's a guy with no head, but I know there's another woman. I think it was a grey lady. This one is a grey lady by the well, and the story on Strange But True was that a woman was driving on the bypass, and she could have sworn she hit a human, and so much that she called the police, and the helicopters came out and everything, like searched for someone that's been hit, because they're probably going to die, and they couldn't find anything. And this woman swore blind that she hit someone. So that's quite an interesting story. We're going to cover that in one of the later episodes, I think. Pastor's got loads of history to it.
Legit looks like a creepy house as well, isn't it? I think Samlesbury Hall doesn't necessarily, but Plasteg looks really creepy.
Yeah, it's the intro title is based off Plasteg on the Steve Show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's cool. Yes, okay.
Okay, if there's no more questions, thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on this. I can imagine it's hot over there. It's hot by me. The windows are closed. And
you know what? It's pretty chill here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not hot anyway.
Mine's not hot. Right. On that note, we'll close it off. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.